All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully we have more people coming in, and if not, we will have this video being recorded, we'll share it to our YouTube page where you can share it to all your friends, family, whoever you want to, that'll be useful for them. So right now I'm going to share my screen and be able to present from my side. So give me a second to do that. Okay. Okay, perfect. Loyola, are you able to see that? Everyone else able to see that too?
We can see you loud and clear.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, everybody. Okay, so today's topic, we're gonna go over college orientation, so for this right here, just kind of knowing like that first step, going into college, before, so for some of you, probably transitioning from high school to college, and for some of you, you probably took a little bit of a break from school, and that is definitely okay, you maybe worked for a little bit, joined the armed forces or anything in particular that came up in life, then you're here at the college orientation and stuff. So there's going to be an exciting event that just to kind of like know what to expect and what to learn about it and what is coming up, in this new lifestyle and stuff. And also Loyola put on the chat, if anyone has any questions throughout this whole workshop, drop them in the chat and we'll be able to answer them accordingly during the presentation itself. So, but yeah, no, just before, let's see, sorry. All right. So yeah, so just kind of like an introduction, to us, so for now, for some of you might know me, maybe not, but again, my name is Julio Barron. I'm one of the college success coaches here at the American Indian College Fund. I've been here for about 1.5 years now, and I'm calling from Denver, Colorado right now at the headquarters office currently. So, and right now I'm going to let my colleague introduce herself right now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Loyola Rankin. I'm currently tuning in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am also a college success coach. I've been in higher ed for about, I don't want to say how long, but I'll say over 10 years. I've also hosted orientation in different capacities as well. So I know a little bit about the different metrics and what goes into planning an orientation, not only having experienced orientation with y'all. But yeah, thank you so much for attending. We're happy that you're here.
So yeah, no, the next thing now, is just to kind of go over the agenda and also kind of like the goals of what we want to accomplish during this session. So for the first one, just kind of becoming familiar with the purpose of the college orientation, like what does it do for the students itself? What does it do for you? What are things you could learn from it, and then we'll kind of go through that process throughout the presentation at a later time. The next one is the college orientation scavenger hunt. So just kind of like a little mini game that we have, during the presentation to see if you know like when your orientation is and what to expect and everything. So there are going to be a couple of questions for you guys to answer, and then Loyola will be able to kind of share that when that comes up later on. And then also, me and Loyola will be sharing a couple of our personal stories, of our orientation experience, wherever we were. Both of us, we've gone through undergrad and our graduate programs and stuff like that. So they could be a little bit different, but we wanted to give you different perspectives on what to expect and what may come up, And again, all colleges and universities are different, so it could probably be different things that we kind of experienced during our times at when we're at school and everything. But yeah, no, we'll go on to the next page right now. And then this one, just we want to see where everyone is thinking of attending, So drop it in the chat, everybody, like what university or college are you currently attending right now? And then the next question we want to know is like, why did you choose that university and college? So we'll give you guys a couple minutes, just to kind of put that on there.
I have to say this is like one of my favorite parts of leading these sessions of like where people are going to school, why they chose that particular school. It's always interesting to hear some of the stories that come through. So yeah, if you want to throw it in the chat, that would be great. If you're feeling particularly brave and you want to share out loud, please feel free to raise your hand and then we can connect you and take you off mute, so you can share out with the team or with the group where it is you are attending and why did you choose that particular college.
Mhm. And I would share myself and stuff, but I'm gonna share it like later on during the personal stories, but I'll talk a little bit just in case, just to kind of give everyone a little bit more time. But like, the college, the university that I went to was the University of Oklahoma. The reason I attended that school was just because it was just close to home, and I always wanted to go there and they have a good football program, I didn't play football personally at that school because I'm not that of a superstar like that, but it was still cool to kind of like see that sports and everything. So that was like my main reason I went to, and then also just the experience itself. But I think there's someone that posted something. So University of New Mexico Gallup. Okay. I chose this school because I wanted to get my basic intro classes out of the way before I transfer to a 4-year university. It also is closer to home and it's cheaper. Yeah. And that's definitely a good reason, just to kind of like attend, the first part, it's like it's okay to go to that community college or whatever and then do those basics and then go on to the next one. So no, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, Cassandra, that's awesome. What I'm also seeing in your response, sorry, not Cassandra, my mistake, Lathan. What I'm also seeing in your response, Lathan, is planning, intention, right? Like I'm only here for a short amount of time, getting my basics, and then I'm going to transfer or move on. So that's always a great idea too, of like, why are you this particular school? So thank you for sharing that. I also got a direct message. I think this person wants to remain anonymous, so that's totally fine too. They are attending this session on behalf of their child who is in high school, but is considering attending Oberlin College because of the music program. So we do have some family and relatives in the house. So thank you so much for being support networks for your students. We deeply, deeply appreciate you being so understanding and dedicating your time to attend this.
And then there's another person on the chat as well. We got some staff in the house. Thank you for being here. So Cassandra Scott works at Tohono O'odham Community College. Okay, awesome. As the director of our Phoenix Center. But I moved to Arizona from New Mexico for the weather. Okay, yeah. And she attended MCC and ASU and NAU. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. Then we got another person, Sunny Reelberg. I'm currently the director of American Outreach at MSU Billings, and I picked the college based on the funding opportunities. Yeah, definitely. Just anything to do with scholarships, grants, anything of that sort, is just get what's better to make college a little bit cheaper for everybody, because, the number one thing that, keeps students away from going to school is that financial aspect, but no, that is a good point to bring up. So I appreciate that. Anyone else want to share? And if not, we'll go on to the next one. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing a little bit about that, so me and Loyola will kind of share a little bit more after this. So let's go on to the next one. All right. And then I will let Loyola take this on.
Thank you, Leo. So yes, big question. What is orientation? Why do we do it? What are we getting ourselves into? Basically, anything that introduces you to a new concept, a new idea, a new perspective, that could be considered orientation. When this context, we're talking about college orientation, and it's a time to introduce students to campus life, the inside and the outside of the classroom spaces. Typically, for our students who are coming straight from the high school experience, it's not a 24/7 type of experience attending high school. So the campus environment for a college or university is different for sure. There you might see some similarities in your experience. But this one here, this is going to be 24/7. You live there, you work there, you sleep there, you attend classes there. So what does that look like? You can also look at an orientation as looking at what type of culture you're stepping into, and what really makes your college or university distinguished amongst the others. This is a great time to meet with other students transitioning to the college life too. Typically, they'll put you within cohorts of scholars who are similar to you. So if you're a first year attending, they'll put you with other first years. If you're a transfer student, they'll put you with other transfers. But typically they'll try and keep you with a peer group, so you can develop some similar, you have one similarity, right? Like you're all coming in, transitioning from high school to college or from another college to their college. This is also a great time to learn about the different support services on campus. It's going to be a lot of information. They're going to give you the tools to success at their school during orientation week. Of course, it's not going to be everything you need to know, but definitely the big parts. That'll help you with your time at their institution. With the student support services, this could be anything from the direct student center, where you can find your financial aid office, sometimes your advising, your tutoring. This could also be faculty departments. They may even like roll out the red carpet and be like, look at all the different types of faculty we have here, how you can connect with them, different types of resources on campus. This is also a great time to learn about what students are doing on campus, what activities are happening, what is the big go-to. Is it sports? Is it theater? Is it student organization? You can really start to see what unites a college based on the types of student-led organizations on campus as well. This will give you a great perspective into who your peers are and what types of, I guess you could say, social learning you'll be doing while you're at college, because that's a big part of it too, the social aspect. So yes. Sorry, go ahead, Julio. Forgot.
No, I think this one is you right here.
Oh, right, I do physically. What can you expect from orientation? Yes, so the physical aspects. It's going to be pretty physical. There's going to be campus tours, a lot of walking around, taking a look at different things. You will be, physically moving your body a lot, definitely consider that as you prepare for orientation. Make sure to wear the right shoes. Everybody wants to look good. They want to look cute on their first day. You're probably doing your back to school shopping right now, and that's great, but please make sure to wear shoes that you can move around in, that are comfortable for you, because there might be a lot of walking during orientation. You'll be setting up your dorm room if you're living on campus or living near campus. This will be a time to rearrange furniture, set up, make it a little homey for you, like definitely make it your space. So again, definitely that physical element of like moving around, getting things set up so it's to your comfort level. Freebies. They love to hand out freebies during orientation. So this could be anything from school supplies to brochures to snacks, food. Definitely they love to feed you during orientation. So that's always great. So be aware of freebies. Make sure you bring a bag with you. Maybe not a whole book bag at that time, but for sure like a little something to carry around all the freebies you get. Definitely going to be a lot of handouts, so be mindful of that too. It'll be a great time to purchase, the campus bookstore if you were willing to buy a UNM t-shirt or Oberlin t-shirt, definitely show that school spirit. That's always fun too. It leads into that excitement element. And of course, with the physicality, make sure you're staying hydrated. Wherever climate you find yourself in, please make sure you're staying hydrated. So please bring a water bottle. That's very important too, something that you can carry around that's not too heavy for you. We want to make sure that you're staying hydrated, even if you're in a very humid area. It could feel like your body's hydrated on the outside, but internally it's not. So please make sure to stay hydrated. And then of course, physically, you gotta go with those introductions, those icebreakers. They really love to get y'all moving around during orientation. It also helps get rid of some of those jitters. We're going to go into emotional a little bit too. So if you get moving, you can like exert some of the energy, eats up some of that jitters that you may have. So I'm going to turn it over to Julio for the emotional element.
All right, thank you for that, Loyola. And hopefully, those are things that may come up, in the physical aspect of an orientation. And it does happen, all those specific things, so definitely keep those in mind, when you go into orientation coming up. But for me, just we're gonna go over the emotional aspect of orientation. So there's gonna be a lot of excitement, it's gonna be that time, excuse me, to like, be able to talk with other people, talk with people you might know or a complete stranger, like, make those connections and stuff like that. Get excited for going to school because this is the next step in your specific life or journey, educational wise, professionally wise, or just personal wise, just be excited for this, use that excitement to push you, through school and everything, because there is an end goal to school, it could be that degree or passing a semester or getting passing grades, or joining like a student or organization on campus, and that list keeps going on, so just kind of keep that in mind. And another thing is the culture shock. So for instance, this could be a time where maybe there's not a lot of students out there that don't look like you or speak like you and stuff like that. And that is fine, it's just one of those things that may come up, from my experience, like I went to school, in Oklahoma, and it was a big culture shock to me because I didn't see people that looked like me or talked like me or just did the same things like me. They don't have the same culture. So I had to go find them myself and stuff. So yeah, it's going to hit you for a little bit depending on where you go and everything. And if it does, it will pass by, immerse yourself with other peers like yourself, to kind of continue on in the school journey itself. So yeah, keep that in mind. Another thing, maybe be scared, and this is just kind of being away from home, so depending on where you go, it could be maybe 30 minutes away or just 10 to 12 hours away, depending where you're at. It's going to be a very interesting experience, but don't let that stop you, from doing what you came to college for, is to get, get that college degree, and better yourself, for your future and what your specific goals you want to accomplish later in life. That might happen. Confidence, build confidence, when you go into orientation, kind of like what Loyola was saying, you probably will be meeting other people, building connections with your academic advisor, your financial aid advisor, or specific professors and everything, if you already have your class schedule, or just, just get kind of gathering with everyone that's, at orientation and stuff, because sometimes orientation could be a small group of people, or it could be hundreds and hundreds of people, it just depends on the school you go to, college or university wise, it's different for everybody and it varies. Sometimes there's going to be some anxiety that pops up and that might come up too. This is just because it's a new environment, it's a new lifestyle, a new chapter in your life, and you'll probably get some of that, and that's okay, but use that anxiety to your advantage, to like better yourself, it's like, well, I have some anxiety, during the middle of the semester and stuff, but there's always ways to cope with it and everything, so kind of look out for those resources that exist, and then to be honest, on orientation, they'll probably go over these specific things too, some colleges, universities have mental health services, and some of those times, it could be free sometimes, or it could be a very low cost, to talk to someone, for support and everything. So But yeah, no, that's a little bit about some of the emotional aspects you might experience in orientation. So that's kind of keep that in mind. And the next one now, I'm going to talk about the first two on mentality. So for this one, there's gonna be loads of information, there's gonna be a lot, to learn from, just, become a sponge, absorb all of it, take all of it, if you're a note taker, take your notes. And if you're just an active listener, just listen up, and then take in all the important things that you want to take in, because there's gonna be just a lot of information, but that's what, school's all about, just kind of, taking all this information and, learning from it, and then utilizing those resources that would help you on later in life, so just kind of keep that in mind. And then for the next one is just stress of starting something new, the college life. Yeah, it's gonna be different, just going into, if for instance, you could maybe be going to a school that has a dormitory, you'll probably be by yourself or with someone else, like right really close to you, or just like a group of people, depending on the kind of like the layout of the dorm itself, so just kind of keep that in mind. And also, high school and college are very, very, very different. So just kind of keep that in mind, just kind of get throughout each day, each class, take it week by week, every 2 weeks, every month. But of course, you're not doing this journey by yourself. If you ever like need to talk to someone, make some friends, go to that student organization on campus to gather with other people, or, just call back home, and the whatever relatives you have, cousins, parents, siblings, whatever you have, talk to them, just send them a text. It's like, hey, I'm doing good, or like I'm not doing well, like I just want to let you know that I'm doing okay, or I need help with something, have that support system around you, that'll kind of get you through it and stuff. And that type of thing kind of helped me out through my college experience as well, to get through like every week and stuff. That first semester was probably the toughest, but after every semester you get through, the more experience you go through, like every single time, you start getting a little bit better and feeling more confident about yourself. So, but yeah, no, I'll leave the next three topics for Loyola to take over. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a big part of the mentality here is becoming independent. Some of you may have already be independent. You're like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. Fantastic. Some of you may have like more dependency on others, and that is okay. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. You get to determine your community. And so, in this space of orientation, you can feel yourself becoming more and more independent. The meetings that you might need to have with certain staff and faculty on campus regarding, making sure that your financial aid is taken care of, that your FAFSA has been received, your scholarships from your different scholarships that you applied for have been received, as well as like registration. There's definitely, as you're doing these things, mentally you're becoming more and more independent, more accountable for yourself, which is great. And we've been kind of using examples of someone who may be on a campus that has dormitories, but also if you're a commuter student, if your campus is just commuters, they don't have dormitories, you need to establish your own schedule. Like, how is transportation going to work? I need to be responsible and independent enough to, get to classes on time, get to these meetings that I need to have, make my own schedule. So you'll feel yourself becoming more and more independent, which is, I guess, emotional and mental. None of these are like in their own sphere. And then, of course, mentally meeting new people. Some of us may be extroverts, introverts, however you identify, that might be anxiety inducing, that might be excitement for some. Getting to meet new people, for sure, it affects people differently. So whatever you need to do to mentally prepare yourself for meeting new people, just be mindful of that during orientation too. If your social battery is like dead, make sure you have time to like step away, look at the schedule or review it beforehand to be like, oh, there's this, brief break, what do I need to do? Do I need to go outside and be by myself? Do I need to feel sunshine, go sit amongst the trees, to really recharge that battery before going back into, these highly social spaces? Then do that for sure. Make sure to take care of yourself during this time. It can be mentally draining. And then, of course, mentally preparing for first day of classes. Orientation does take place before you start your classes. So it can kind of give you that experience of like, what do I need to do on that first day? Where is my classroom? How do I get there? What is the parking situation? If I'm a coffee drinker in the morning, where can I get my coffee beforehand? So definitely getting through those motions of mentally preparing for the day is fantastic. And orientation is a great place to start that routine and looking at what you need and what is available to you on campus. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide, Julio. Oh no. Let's see.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, something happened, a technical issue, but it's back together now. So let me share my screen again. Apologize.
No worries, that happens. Be prepared for that too, y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, so scavenger hunt time. You will have 8 minutes to complete this form. This form covers the questions listed here, the dates of your orientation, where can you find the schedule, is there a fee to attend, and then some personal questions there at the end. We do have raffle prizes for those that do complete the scavenger hunt link. So we're going to put 8 minutes on the clock. You'd think I'd have that prepared. All right, 8 minutes starting now. Feel free to submit those when you're done, and then we'll catch it on our end. Julio, I didn't even think of this beforehand, but music. Do we have any scavenger hunt music we can play?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Let me see.
That's a good scavenger hunt song. I'm just thinking like Pink Panther.
I think that's what's going through my mind too. Let's see.
I guess we can pause the recording here. Finder. Alrighty, so thank you so much for completing that scavenger hunt. We're going to jump right back into our presentation. I'm going to share my screen here. So we do appreciate you taking the time for the scavenger hunt. Next, we'll be getting into personal stories. This is just a little information about what our experience has been with orientation in our studies and the relevancy and how important it was. So for this particular part, I'm going to stop the share so then that way you can see as we're talking to you about the different types of events that took place. So yes, I attended Brown University. In 2007 is when I started, fall 2007. And my orientation was about a week long. It was pretty intense. We had that first week to ourselves as first years, and then the upperclassmen rejoined campus that following that weekend, and then classes started like on a Wednesday. That was always so weird. It was like classes started on a Wednesday, didn't start on Monday, but I know some colleges do that. So yeah, this was 2007 and I grew up on the Navajo Nation, Coyote Canyon, New Mexico. So internet was like a new thing, like regularly, like we just had it to Tohatchi. Sometimes it was spotty and it was like trash. And this was before your phones could get internet. So like I had a little flip phone, and like if you accidentally pushed the internet button, you had to exit out of that thing immediately. So my problem was I just spent like all of orientation like online doing internet stuff. This is like MySpace age, right? If I'm dating myself. And I was like watching videos, and like I was like on MySpace, I was like watching all these shows that I really wanted to see but never had the capacity to. So I kind of holed up in my room, my dorm room, and really regret that. I did attend some of the events, but usually it was like my roommate who was like, hey, there's this thing going on that we're supposed to go to for orientation. Do you want to go? And sometimes I'd say yes. Sometimes I'd be like, nah, I'm going to skip it. And probably shouldn't have. And as Julio had shared in the chat earlier, was also like an extreme introvert. Didn't know anybody there, was in a completely different time zone, a different environment. I was like, why is it so humid? Why is it so green? I don't understand this. So kind of just retreated into myself, honestly, in my dorm room, which was, yes, it was great for like protecting myself, but at the same time wasn't good for like establishing a community that first week. Because once the upperclassmen came back, I didn't know who was like me, in that I didn't know where things were. So I was like, who can I ask and they won't judge me? But like, how do you not know where that is? I'm like, what the heck is a Solomon building? Where is that at? And not realizing like how big the campus was. And coming from New Mexico, like let's be real, we don't walk a lot. Like, it's too far. We're not built for commuter. And it was a very like commuter-based campus. Like you had to like walk. There was no real transportation until like after the sun went down for safety. So not realizing like how far things were, like my time blindness was also a thing too. Like that's a new term that I'm starting to come familiar with. It's just where you're not really good with time, and I'm not. And I was like, oh, class starts at like 10:30. I can leave here at 10:25. And I'm like, it's a 15-minute walk. No, you cannot. And then I get there and they'd be talking and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I can't go in because they're talking and that's rude. So I just turn around and go back to my dorm and like, chill there. And then there was a cultural thing that happened. So I went to school in Rhode Island and it would rain all the time. And for those of us that are Navajo or like have similar cultural things, when it rains, you're supposed to like sit and do nothing. And it rained a lot there. And so like I would email faculty, because I did remember one thing from orientation, and they're like, if anything happens, email your faculty. And I was like, got it. And so I'd email my faculty and be like, hey, I can't come, it's raining. And they'd be like, what? And again, these are people from New England, right? It rains all the time. They're like, no, that's not an excuse. Like, so I didn't do very well my first semester. And I kind of wish I had engaged more like socially with people or my peers. I got along more with like the natives on campus, and I didn't meet like a core group of them until like 2 weeks into the semester. And at that point I was like ready to go home. I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to get home. Like I bought a plane ticket for the end of the semester. I can't really like leave. So yeah, so I kind of wish like orientation would have been like helpful, but it was also really scary because a few events that I went to, they held it in the gymnasium. And so, it's like this huge space, right? It's much, much bigger than like the Tohatchi High School gym. So like you see all these people and you're just like, whoa, what is this? What is happening? Who are you? And I was very intimidated. And, you have people who came from like top of the line, like high schools, and no diss on Tachi, but it was really hard to be in those spaces. And you have people who like traveled internationally. So I'm like, how do I find people like me. So it was a little difficult for that, but yeah, definitely would recommend going to orientation, if not for like that social element of like, how can I ask these questions and what questions are others asking that I should be asking, but I don't know to ask them. That was a lot of asks, but I hope you got the gist. And then for Harvard University, the Harvard Graduate School of Education, that was my graduate school program. It was a master's program, completely online. This was definitely during the time of COVID, so definitely extenuating circumstances. But if you are entering a completely online program, please, please, please make sure to complete the orientation at a self-pace that works for you. It's very easy just to like click through, done, done, done. But please make sure you're reading the material and understanding how that affects you as a remote student. It's definitely really helpful to establish like, oh, this might be an area I have problems with, or this might be a documentation I can't submit. Like if you need a scanner, if you need like, you know, to take a picture of your photo ID and upload that, you know, finding those tools and connecting with the orientation coordinator is definitely really helpful, because you are not the only one who is facing those issues. So definitely reach out, and it might be an issue that they have on their end and they might not be aware of it. So definitely, if you're doing online orientation, reach out, make sure you're making those connections. If you are having trouble, do not put it off. And then the one thing I did learn from my graduate program I'd love to share here is the student handbook. The student handbook is very, very critical. It is a legal binding contract. I know we don't think of it that way, but it's a binding contract between you as the student and your institution. So outlined in there are the institution's responsibilities and your responsibilities as a scholar, as a student at that institution. I learned this in my graduate program, where like if a scholar is going to sue their school, which does happen for whatever reason, they heavily rely on the student handbook as legal evidence. So read the student handbook, even if you want to just skim it. Like I definitely didn't read it in undergrad. I definitely went back and read it in grad school, and there was some wild stuff in there. And I was like, some of this pertains to me. A lot of this probably doesn't. Like, I don't think I'll need that information, but definitely read your student handbook. That is like the one thing, if you could take it away from this orientation presentation, read the student handbook. All right, Julio, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, then thank you, Loyola, for sharing your perspective and story. You know, it was pretty cool to kind of know what you experienced throughout, you know, your two universities you went to, especially on the East Coast and stuff. So that's a good point as well too. But yeah, no, like for me, you know, from my experience, University of Oklahoma, it's right smack in the middle of the United States, or right in the middle and everything. So like my experience, you know, like going, you know, from my home to like my university, I was only 30 minutes away. But even with that time, you know, like I was still kind of like scared and stuff like that, and just kind of stressed out a little bit, but I was excited at the same time. But I went to University of Oklahoma, or OU, or Sooners, you know, you probably hear it in those specific terms and everything. But like, you know, my parents, you know, they left me and stuff, you know, not like that, you know, but they're like helping me like move and everything. And it's like, all right, bye, you know, all the hugs, you know, and all that good stuff. And then I just started, you know, just feeling upset and kind of crying a little bit, because, well, they took care of me my whole life, of course, you know, and now they're just leaving their baby, even though my mom keeps calling me baby still. But that's how it is, you know. So after that, you know, I just kind of decided, like, I need to kind of get out there and stuff, you know, I need to go out. And this is a funny story, and like, and it's cool. I bring the story up a lot. So I decided to get out my dorm and stuff, and then I looked right, and then there was a person coming out at the same time, and then he looked to his right. So we just looked at each other, like, hey, I'm Julio, and I'm Jose and stuff like that. That was the other guy that I met, you know. And then to this day, like, we're still friends. We're still friends to this day, you know. So just getting out there and building confidence is how it is, you know. So the way orientation kind of worked for us, you know, just like kind of like almost like we call it the South Oval and stuff, but just like the kind of like the sidewalks where you go from one side of the university to the other. But that's where like a lot of, freshmen or like new students, go through this path and everything. It's always packed all the time. But there was like a bunch of tables and booths everywhere to kind of know about like the student organizations, all the student support services, specific departments, specific majors and organizations all over the place and stuff. So just kind of to kind of mingle and get to know people, free food, free candy, free everything, to be honest, so just kind of I took my backpack with me, and just started filling that stuff up, because some of the stuff was student supplies too, so I did that as well. And then also, there was a time, where they took us to the football stadium, where we had to take a picture of all of us, like in the symbol of OU and stuff, so just OU. Because I think the majority of us had like red shirts. And then the other ones had white shirts, but the school colors for us was crimson and cream, but it's literally red and white. So they just want to look special, I guess. But no, that's how it is, but I took a picture with 4,500 other students as the new freshman class. So I started college in 2012 and I went from 2012 to 2017 to graduate with my degrees for my bachelor's. But during that time, I was just kind of like getting through the lifestyle of like, how am I going to be a good student? What am I supposed to do? So, that's at this time, just kind of mingling and talking to other students out there, and I was a big introvert and stuff this whole time, but I was able to kind of like get better throughout my experiences and everything, and talking with other people. And the good thing about me is like I lived in the dorms and everything, even though I was close to my house, it was mandatory for us to live on the dorms and stuff as a freshman. There's specific rulings and stuff, like to not do that and stuff, but I wanted to experience the college experience, so that's why I did that. But throughout these 5 years, I lived away from home, even though I was 30 minutes away, I still, did everything I needed to do when I was in college, I was able to get good advisement and everything. I went through this program called TRIO. You probably hear it as TRIO services, Upward Bound, anything of that sort. So that just kind of how it is a little bit. So just kind of think of it that way. And then also, during my experience, there was just a lot of, times, for activities, where you get to talk with other students, and in a way it wasn't like parties, but it was like, college college like parties and stuff like that, where you could go, it's like there's a bouncy house or something, or they have like a band come through. So that's how orientation kind of went for me, just a lot of information from my part and everything. So that was my experience with all that good stuff. And then, for graduate school, it was kind of like the same thing for me too, just like about Loyola's experience. Is just having it online. I started grad school in 2021, and then I think that's when COVID at its peak, was still around. So my orientation was just online, but I went to the same school, but I did the graduate program through that school itself. But it's just, I was already familiar with the layout of the place, but it was a different department and major and everything. So but my whole program in graduate school was online, during that time I was able to have a full-time job, but also go to grad school full-time as well too. And full-time is way different from like undergrad and grad school. Undergrad, a little bit, it's 12 credit hours, that's full-time. And for grad school, it could be anything from like 6 to 9 credits, depending on where you went. And I just needed to take 6 credits and I was at full-time. So I was able to get scholarships I needed. At the time I was in the military still, so I kind of got help from the military as well to pay for those, the funds, to pay for school and everything. And, orientation wasn't too bad, just like knowing who my advisor was, who my chair of my department was, and my professors, so it was a pretty tight-knit community and everything. But I was able still to get the resources that I needed to be successful, through getting that support, through the writing center, or getting some tutoring, if I ever needed a brainstorm, or just connecting with my professors like during office hours, but virtually, of course, during that time. But no, it was a good time, so just kind of got through it and everything, so it was fine. But yeah, no, that's kind of like my personal story, through orientation. I didn't want to take up too much of our time. But yeah, no, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about, me and Loyola's experience during orientation. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Julio. Like, definitely, if you come across anyone too who's been through the college experience, feel free to ask them what their orientation experience was like, and I'm sure they will give you plenty of like suggestions and ideas on like how to benefit the most from your orientation experience. So we're going to close out the session. I'm just going to do a quick screen share highlighting the events upcoming for the first year experience week 2. So this is going to be starting August 8th at 3 p.m. We have our time management with our host, Adriana. So definitely feel free to register for that event. August 9th at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Again, all these are in Mountain Time. If you want to search Denver time, that works too. Just Denver time. Being a first generation student, definitely feel free to come and speak with Brittany about what that is like. What is a first generation student? Definitely the term is differentiates in different communities, so check that out. And then finally, in week 2, we have the August 10th event at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, Persistence in the Face of Adversity, with Sherrietta. Definitely come check that out. It's talking about perseverance. It's talking about like tapping into that inner core of what's going to help sustain you throughout your college experience. So yes, these are week 2 events. Feel free to come and join us. This is a series. This orientation event is the second event in the series. So definitely they're going to be hosted throughout all of August. So come check them out.
Okay.
You want to cover this slide, Julio?
Yeah, gotcha. So for this one right here is just kind of like the way that we're kind of like, be able to share if you attended this event, and then attend a couple more later on. There's the prizes keep getting better, so just like kind of like a raffle type of thing. But the first tier, is attend 1 session to be entered into win a $50 gift card. If you attend 2, then that's Sony wireless headphones that come up, and then for the third tier, then if you attend 3 sessions, then you'll be entered into a Amazon Fire tablet. So, and then for the big prize, if you attend 4 of these sessions during the first year experience summer series sessions, then you get entered to a grand prize of winning a laptop itself, so kind of keep that in mind, this is a pretty interesting time. So I'm gonna kind of keep that involved, and then, the survey is up here at the top. And if Loyola, if you could put that on the chat, that would be awesome for all of our attendees to be able to finish up that survey as soon as possible for the raffle and everything. So, but yeah, no, just want to say thank you all for being here, everybody. And if you do have any questions or concerns, then you could always contact us directly. Loyola, if you could go to the next slide so they can see that real quick. And that is our information right there. So you got Loyola's information, direct phone number and email, and then you got mine at the bottom right there. And then just to kind of give you like the next event coming up, we have an event coming up tomorrow. And that's how to find more money for school. And that's with Delphina Thomas. And I'll be moderating the event as well tomorrow. So this one is going to be at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. You'll be able to find the information and the login for that on our social medias through Native Pathways and stuff. And if you do have questions, you could always email us directly just in case as well. But yeah, no, just that's all we got for you guys. We'll be here for a little bit, if there's any last minute questions, and if not, thank you all for taking some time out of your day to talk to us, and hope you guys learned something new. And I wish you guys all good luck on your journeys. And if you're staff or faculty, please let your students know about this as well too. So thank you all for being here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and efforts and your support to your scholars entering into orientation.